Today is 30th of March. Market trade at doji, down 5.3257. Now this happened after the run up here, and this is generally a pause. I'd like to see the market eventually move up and test the resistance at 3,300. Support is at 3,210, which coincide with this gap here. That's a significant support. Now if you take a look at the weekly charts, by and large, we are actually stuck in a trend range long term. We notice the 1326 SMAs are flat, in fact they crisscross as well. And mentioned in the previous videos, we have a bottoming tail and we're likely to see it bounce from here, and this is what we are experiencing right now. Now it's important to watch the markets when they approach the resistance at 3300. So they have been tested on numerous occasions. Let's take a look at the US market. This is S&P 500. Now after testing the downward trend line, it managed to bounce off. I'd like to see eventually move up and test the resistance at 4200. If you take a look at Nasdaq, Nasdaq is actually much stronger. The notice is actually testing the resistance right now. Now if you manage to actually take out this resistance, that will be generally positive. So at this point in time, the tech sector is actually taking the leads. If there's no negative developments on the banks, then we probably see a further upward move. This is Hang Seng Index. After a strong rallies, market actually retraced about 40%, mainly to find supports. Currently, we see some upward move, but appear to be weak at this point in time. So I'd like to actually see what happens. It may well start in a trend range. Whatever the case may be, it is important eventually to form a solid base and take out the resistance level at about 22,600. Let's take a look at some of the strong stock we'll be discussing. This is Sembcorp Industry. We notice actually it was actually in a stable trend within the channels and breaking the upper channels and it move up, and this is a different trajectory. Notice actually for the last few sessions we have pulled back. In fact, today we have a bit of selling before it reject the low, and this appeared to be quite a stubborn. That is at 433, tested on 4 occasions. Now if we continue to trade sideways, perhaps we can look for opportunity eventually to look for a break on the upside. But it's important right now is because actually when a stocks actually trend upward on a steeper angle, it may be prone to retracement. Full Empire mentioned that this stock is already over standards, and especially with the gaps, it's become tricky. So notice the increased daylight. It's pretty obvious, but today managed to actually hold up trading a doji with low volume. Again, if you have these positions, it will be better if you actually lock in some profit, and this gap here provides some kind of support. Now closing this gap will be generally negative, so this is something we like to actually pay attention. This is Delphi. After the strong run up, it's actually consolidating, so I will expect it to actually have a couple of swing. That will be able to give us a better odds. And sometimes it's easier to actually take a look at the weekly charts. If you take a look at the weekly charts after breaking this resistance with the extension bar, you kind of unable to close wells on 2 occasions here. So this is generally a sign of weakness. There's some resistance going forward. So I'll prefer if the stock can consolidate sideways to digest the recent gain and build a base for further upward move. Pronet is one example where the stock is consolidating after a very strong move. So again, we need some patience. Eventually look for a break, decisive break above 192. So any break must be accompanied with high volume. Capricorn is another example. After a strong move, it's actually consolidate. And this appeared to be a resistance to actually look at and managed to take out yesterday. Today we have a nice follow through, slight increase in volume. Though we prefer a more significant increase in volume. So the tail here generally has low volume, so we can ignore. So take this as a new high. Look for pullback, look for new setups to go along. This is Tianjin. This stock has strong upward move over the last few sessions and today trade a doji. Look for a decisive break above the high here 151. Genting. Stock appears to be actually encountering resistance at this level here, and this is at 110. So we need a decisive break accompanying high volume, and breaking this resistance will be actually positive for further upward move, despite the fact that the stock is a bit overextended. Again, we can take a look at the weekly charts. Alright, potentially there could be a resistance at this level here at about 113. Best will pause before the high volume resistance. Again, we just need some patience. Look for decisive break above the high here of 253. So notice actually the volume is low, which is generally positive. Wilmer's perhaps the strongest palm oil stocks. We have a move up, but so far the move has been quite tentative. Notice a couple of days where you were not able to close well. So again, perhaps we wait for it to have a break above these resistance levels and look for the first pullback. So this appeared to be a very high volume resistance level here, which is broken, provide some kind of support. And this is at about 417. NATO firm stock are actually attempting to form a base, so the game would like to see what happens. If we can take out this effectively, then we like to see a new trend commencing from there. One good example is China Aviation Oil. Now if you take a look at the bigger picture on the weekly charts, these stocks were actually trading downwards for a long while, and finally it was taken up. That was in some time last year, and followed by a deep retracement, and we have a bounce off. So if you take a look at the 1326 SMA, it's trying to actually move upwards, starting an upcycle, but moving average is still not in order. So we like to look for pullback, and perhaps by then the moving average will be in order and we can look for setup.